Hello everyone, I am Parikshit and welcome to another exciting session on Unacademy CAT-alyst. In today's session, we are going to talk about some of the major worries that CAT aspirants face in the LRDI section and how to overcome these worries, these mistakes. Remember, we are just 10 days away from the CAT, and it is at this time you need to finalize your strategy and make sure you don't repeat these mistakes on the 29th, the D-Day. But as always, before I get started, give me 5 seconds to ensure that I am streaming live before we get started with today's session. Perfect. I think we are streaming live and we are good to start. Let's get started. Okay. So we are going to talk about 5 things to worry about LRDI for CAT 2020 and the new pattern which has resulted in some key changes. Okay. So the 29th of November is not far away, right? And there are some mistakes which a lot of people make time and again. Over the last few years, these are the mistakes that you make and you regret after you come out giving the exam. So I must tell you things that you actually need to worry about and you need to ensure that you don't go wrong while attempting the CAT and more specifically the LRDI section. The first thing is set selection. The first thing is set selection. Now it is very, very important. Trust me, 50% of your job in the exam is done if you choose the right set, the set which you are able to solve. Now here, let me take you to the CAT mock section, okay? The CAT official mock paper that has been released this year. So I have logged in with my user ID and password, okay? And I am here in the DILR section, the first set. Now what I would suggest is the first 2 minutes, have a glance at all the questions. It's worth spending 2 minutes and then utilizing the next 38 minutes more effectively. Remember, here you need to make a decision. The first 2 minutes is very crucial. You need to make a decision and decide which questions or set are you gonna attempt. Okay, I'm in the CAT 2020 mock. Okay, I have landed on the first set of the ILR. I just have a glance. I don't have to read the question. I have a glance. I realize this is probably relating to coding. There is a sentence given to me and they will be asking me which word or which letter is coded with which digit. And good point is there are only 4 conditions. So I keep this in mind and I move to the next set. Remember, there are generally 4 questions. So you can directly click on question number 5. Now here you see there is some SP, CP and profitability. Now you don't have to read the set. Just look at the table, okay, SP, CP, profitability, and then they're asking you questions on revenue. Now take a call. Is your cost price, selling price, is your chapter on cost price, selling price, okay, profit, loss and discount good? If you really like that chapter, your concepts are clear enough, probably you would like to attempt this particular set, okay? So I'm not taking a call, but I know that one set is on SPCP and I go back to my quants. I think about it. If I think that this is one of my strongest areas, definitely come back and attempt this set in your first go, in your first round. Okay, then I will go through the next set. Just glance. Okay, having a glance at the set just gives me some overall feeling, right? There are 2 tables. Not many numbers. Can you see this? They are grading. There are some grades and some accreditation. Probably this will be an easy set as well because there are not too many numbers. They will ask you who has got what grades, right? What are the parameters? What are the weightages? That's the feeling. Okay, I think even this is doable. 30-40 seconds are over at this point of time. But the good part is you are glancing at the sets. Next, go to the next set. Okay, here there are 6 questions, 6 statements, not 6 questions, basically 6 statements. And if you glance at your question on your right, they talk about minima, maximum. Now, a lot of students, right, often struggle when it comes to minimum and maximum. Now, if you belong to one such category, where you also struggle with minimum maximum type of questions, and more so, remember there are 6 conditions. Remember set 1 had only 4 conditions, and here you have 6. So this is definitely not the first set I'm gonna attempt. Definitely not the first. If it were to be a set that I'm gonna attempt, I will attempt it in round 2. I will attempt it in round 2 because there are 6 conditions and I have another set with just 4 conditions. Next. Okay, this looks like a DI graph. A DI graph, and you look at the questions, there are not much numbers. They are asking you which company had the highest revenue. This looks like to be an observation graph. Observation. Just observe and you can easily mark. Just observe and you can easily mark. So the good part is this is definitely a set I'm gonna attempt. Probably the first set that I'm gonna attempt. The first set. Remember when I say first set, there are 4 questions and you'll be able to solve all the 4 questions, right? So this is definitely one of the first sets that I'm going to attempt. Next set. Again, another one where there are a paragraph, there are 2 paragraphs and 6 conditions. 2 paragraphs and 6 conditions. This could be a lengthy one. This could be a lengthy one, and it is more difficult because of the fact that the first question that you see is a theta, is a type in the answer question. Even if you get some answer, you do not even know whether it is right or wrong. This is again to be attempted in round 2. This is again to be attempted in round 2. Next, come back. Okay, 25 question. I have come to the second last set. Now you see, this is a set where again there is a paragraph and there are 5 statements. Probably doable. There are 3 blanks. There are 3 boxes which are blank. So you have to fill in the names, and there are 5. How many question marks? 3 complete question marks, and 1, the first block, partial question mark. Okay, doable. I don't know if I should attempt it first and then come to the last one. Okay, here also there are just 4 questions. Just 4 questions. So I think I have got my sets. I have got my sets. Remember, set number 21, set number 17, right? Question number 17 onwards was the easiest set. The reason being, this is just an observational set. So definitely attempt this set in the first question. This should be your first set. This should be your first set. So what did we just discuss? We just discussed how to do set selection. You spend 2 minutes in total and decide what is the order in which you are going to attempt. What is the order? You at least in this 2 minutes come and finalize 2 sets. At least 2 sets. Set 1 and set 2. Basically, I am talking about 8 questions which you are sure you can do. Trust me, if you do this in the first 15 minutes, of your paper, right? You have completed 2 very easy sets. You have got them correct. You are already in a 75th percentile, right? You already probably have reached the 75th percentile. Now it is all about spending the remaining 25 minutes and getting another 1.5 to 2 sets correct, right? So very important. And moment you get the first set correct, right? The good part is your confidence level increases. You are more confident to attempt a new caselet, right? More confident to attempt a new caselet, and hence it is a must that you choose the first set wisely. First set wisely, a set which you can actually solve. So do not make this mistake of choosing a wrong set. I know a lot of you have this worry. Set selection, and this is how you select your sets. Spend 2 minutes, but those are gonna be worth it. Remember, you must be thinking I'm wasting 2 minutes. No, you are not wasting 2 minutes. Rather, you are spending 2 minutes judiciously, and that is making sure that the next 38 minutes follows a plan. Okay, the next point that aspirants often worry about for the LRDI section, right? What is it? The time constraint. Okay. Now, whether I have sufficient time to solve. Remember, none of you, even the 100 percentiler, cannot get all the questions correct. So there might be 5 sets. Remember, this is a 40-minute section. There might be anywhere between 5 sets to 8 sets. Definitely it should not be 8, but let's assume this is 8. 5 sets to 8 sets. Now, should you panic? let's say you belong to the morning batch, okay, the first slot in the CAT, okay, do you panic? No, you should not panic. The reason being, this I would say is a good thing. If you get 8 sets, remember the number of sets that you can attempt in 40 minutes will probably not exceed 4. It will be around 4. It cannot be exceeding 4. If you do around 4 sets correct in 40 minutes, you will be a 98-99 percentiler. Assumption is the difficulty level is the same as the last 2-3 years, okay. Then if you get 8 sets, there are 8 total sets, and let's say there are 32 questions. The good part is I would consider it a positive. Why? Because I have more questions to choose from. I have more questions to choose from. It is always easy to attempt 4 out of 8 rather than attempting 4 out of 5, right? So this I would say is tough. This I would say is tough. This I would say is easy, relatively easy. So you should not panic, okay? If there were to be 8 sets on the exam day, you know that there are 40 minutes, it's a 40-minute paper, but still you have 8 sets, perfect. This is a good condition. You stick to your original idea that I'm gonna attempt 4 sets. Remember, I keep repeating, I'm making an assumption that the difficulty level is the same as the last 2 years, okay? Otherwise, if the difficulty level is very high, people might not be able to attempt 4 sets. They might just attempt 2 sets. Perfect, you'll end up with a 99 percentile. Or if the sets are very easy, you might have to attempt 5 out of 8. Right? So accordingly, you need to be flexible. Now, with just 7 or 10 days remaining for the CAT, I believe whether the questions are easy or difficult is something you are able to understand at this stage. Now, one more thing I must caution you at this point of time, right? Do not think it this way that I have to attempt every question. Let's say there are 8 sets, and 40 minutes. So 5 minutes per set. Do not think it that way. If you think it that way, trust me, you will make silly mistakes and you will go wrong. Remember, it's not 5 minutes per set because you are not going to attempt all the 8 sets. So you can take around 8 to 9 minutes per set. 8 to 9 minutes per set. But within the 8 to 9 minutes, it is very, very important to identify at the earliest. When I say earliest, I mean, let's say 3 minutes are gone. 3 minutes are already over. And you are not very comfortable doing the case set. It is actually an art to be able to leave this question and move to the next set. Trust me, you spend lesser the time on a set and you identify that, okay, this is not for me, I am not able to do it. Immediately move to the next. There is no point spending 8 minutes and then you realize you cannot solve the set. That will be suicidal. It's perfectly fine not to know something, but at least realize that within 3 minutes. Or max to max 4 minutes. That should take care of your time, right? And you need not worry about time. Remember, the time is the same for all 240,000 students who have filled up the CAT form. Next. What is the next thing that students often worry? At this stage? Right? The next thing that you need to take care about is accuracy. Okay? It's very, very important that your accuracy is high. If your accuracy is low, okay? I believe that all of you know there is something called a normalization. There is something called a normalization process. Okay? You will be heavily penalized. If you get 5 questions correct, okay, and let's say another 5 wrong, you will end up with a low percentile. Compared to someone who attempted 4 questions and got all 4 correct. This will be a relatively high percentile. Why? The person attempted 4 questions, but he got all the 4 correct. Okay. On the contrary, you might have attempted 5 correct, but you know what? You also made 5 wrong. So in the normalization process, you are gonna be penalized heavily. So do not pick any answer blindly because you know what? You'll be penalized for it. Now this brings me to a question which students often have. What happens, sir, if I am able to eliminate two options? If you are able to eliminate two options, okay, let's say A and B you have eliminated, and now with C and D you don't know which one is correct. Should I go ahead and take? Should I go ahead and take one answer? I would say yes. I would say yes. Here it is worth taking a chance. Why? You have a 50% probability of getting it correct, right? So if you are able to eliminate two options, definitely go ahead and mark one of the remaining two options, because that might help you to get +3. I agree it can be a -1, but definitely it can be a +3 and there is an equal probability. Then you take a chance. Otherwise, do not take a chance if you are not able to eliminate at least two options, right? You'll be heavily penalized. Okay, the next thing that we need to talk about here. Okay, the next thing is difficulty level of the questions. A lot of aspirants keep asking me, sir, what happens if the section LRDI is very tough? LRDI is very tough. Let's say it is very tough. What happens? You don't have to worry about it, right? Why? Because the number of attempts will come down. Trust me, the best example, the finest example where LRDI was very tough is CAT 2017. CAT 2017. And I don't know if you know it, a 99 plus percentile, right? You know how many such a person would have got correct? Around 14 out of 32. He got around, remember 2017 there were 32 questions. So the paper was very tough. So someone who got 14 correct, 14 or even 13 correct out of 32, out of the 32 questions, right, ended up with a 99.5 plus percentile. So you see, if the paper is very difficult, the number of questions is hardly around 40%, 40 to 45% you need to get correct. 40 to 45% you need to get correct. So that's the beauty, right? The difficulty level doesn't hamper you, shouldn't hamper you. Vice versa also holds true. Should you be very happy if the questions are easy? No. Why? If the questions are very easy, like let's say CAT 2014, okay? What happens? Out of 32, someone might have to attempt around 22 correct. Around 22 correct. So the number of attempts, okay, and the number of questions that you need to get correct will vary. So please do not bother unnecessarily at this point, right? What happens if the difficulty level is more? You should be okay. The cutoffs, not the cutoffs, rather the marks, the absolute marks will be low. It's as simple as that. So there is nothing to worry about regarding the difficulty level. And 5 is number of attempts. Number of attempts. What would be a good attempt in CAT 2020? What would be a good attempt in CAT 2020? Now, a very important question. Now, experts are predicting, okay, that with just a 40-minute section, the number of section questions or caselets in LRDI is going to be around 5 to 6. 5 to 6 sets this time. Okay. And the difficulty level is, let's say, moderate, because it has been moderate over the last couple of years. Okay. So you know what? Your target, if the difficulty level is moderate, should be anywhere between 3 to 4 sets. Should be anywhere between 3 to 4 sets. 3 to 4 sets. If there are 5 sets, you might want to attempt 3. If there are 6 sets, you might want to attempt 4 or 3.5. So this should be your target attempts. When I say attempts, I mean you are getting it correct. I mean you are getting it correct, right? Assuming a moderate level of difficulty. So make sure that these last 10 days when you are practicing, you don't practice anything which is very difficult, because anyway you are not gonna solve it. You are anyway not gonna solve it on the exam day because of time constraint. These last few days, concentrate on easy and moderate sets which can be easily solved. And there is a very fine trick. I won't say a trick, a very important point to observe here. A very important point. If you have done the last 25-year papers, right, there are often questions like set 1 is question 1 to 4. Okay, then there is a small one question. There is a one question set, one question in between. Okay, this is question number 5. And let's say there is the next set. A next set starts from 6 to 8. 6 to 8. Now, you need to be very careful that because this is a single question, you are not leaving it. You are not leaving it. Why? Because remember, many a times the questions which is a single question, okay, is an easy question, is a easy question. So you please be very careful that between any two sets, okay, there is not any question that you have left in between. There might be a single set, a small question, a two-liner question, okay, which you have not left in between, because these tend to be really, really easy and it will fetch you +3. So make sure that whenever you are moving from set 1 to set 2, you are making sure that there is no single set question which you have left in between. There is a high chance that because this time the time limit is less, you might get 2 or 3 such single questions, 2 or 3 such single liner questions, okay, which are not, I won't say sets, basically one question which probably could be a small syllogism question, if then statement question. So make sure you are not leaving it out. Okay, I think that's it. I believe that I have told you some things which you find it useful, and these are the techniques that you should apply, okay, in the over the next 10 days. Do not apply it directly in the CAT. The next 10 days, apply these techniques. Make sure that these worries are gone, because these are the 5 major worries that you have in the LRDI section. Take care of these worries, work on them over the next 10 days, give a couple of mocks, and then on the 29th, be confident when you go to write the actual paper. Okay? So thank you so much. I meet you again tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. for another exciting session of mine. Till then, stay safe and take care and keep preparing. Remember, if you work hard, success is yours. Thank you and see you tomorrow. Goodbye.